Yay.
Well, howdy doodles.
Howdy doodles. Oh my
Oh,
god.
what the fuck is that? What in the pigeon shake
Track.
are you fucking doing, bruh?
Pigeon shaking.
I'm pigeon shaking.
Pigeon
I'm
shaking.
squab shaking, bitch. She's drinking from a... I should not make this woman laugh when she's drinking from a cup.
You almost made. So, guys.
Oh, he almost spit out water last week.
He did almost spit out water. I was like, oh my god, are we going to catch that on camera?
I hope so. Just to let you know, the episode you listened to last week, we filmed it just a minute ago.
Just now. We took our break.
15 minutes ago, we took a break. But it is very much still August 24th, the same day we filmed our collab episode with, I was going to say Desert Eagle. Oh my God.
Oh
with
my God.
Warrior Paranormal and Cross the Line Paranormal.
Mm-hmm.
But before we get into that, Christy, I think you have an opening message.
I do. So this podcast is part of the You Run Podcast Network, where you can find all sorts of fun and exciting podcasts just like ours and true crime. So you can look at that at yourunpodcast.com. And with that being said, welcome to the Paranormal Misfits podcast, where the curious roam, the weird feels at home, and horror is just another day in the... I almost fucked it. I just fucked it up. And horror is just another day in the office. Hi, I'm Chrissy, and that's Bobblehead Nino.
Hi. Remember, guys, whores are just another day. Lord in heaven. I have to like speak figuratively or like in real time when I say this, but last week's episode with Warrior Paranormal and Cross the Line Paranormal was great. Mm-hmm. For you guys, it was last week. For us, it was 30 minutes ago.
It was.
So
it was so much fun. I don't think
we're wearing the same clothes, that's because we filmed it in the same.
Speaking of clothes, I do want to give a merch shout out to Gabriel and the Indigenous podcast, or the Indigenous Tales podcast, because look at this, isn't it pretty?
Oh, that's beautiful. Oh, that's really actually genuinely stunning.
Right?
So, I look so good.
You do. Love the hair.
Thank you. I grew it myself. No, shout out to Gabriel. Shout out to his team. Mm-hmm. Shout out to them for being such great supporters of Paranormal Misfits podcast.
Oh, yeah.
On the topic of merchandise, you can feel free to click the link in our show notes to purchase Paranormal Misfits podcast merchandise. And if you like our podcast, subscribe, follow, give us 5 stars. And there's going to be a link in there that says you can buy us a coffee. If you like us, send us $1 or $2, literally.
Yeah.
Or like $479, like whatever you want. You know what I mean? Like, it's a very specific number for a reason.
Is it a car note?
No, it's the amount of one night at the Jerome Grand Hotel.
Because they won't let him haunt for free.
Yeah. How is your week going so far?
It's going pretty good. Switched it up. Now I roll into a crossing guard and over to the school as opposed to waiting in that long ass line. So
fantastic.
It's been going faster, which is nice. I just first fucking month of school is killer.
Chrissy's like a super mom. You're so super.
Super. How about you? How's your week?
So far so good. Just getting did my birthday happen already? Yeah, my birthday did happen in the future.
In the future.
Because this episode is gonna come out the 7th, right? Hold on. We have one coming out today, and then this episode comes out on the 14th.
Before your birthday?
Yeah,
on your birthday.
Because we filmed doubles, so remember. Sorry, guys. Don't mind us just talking about everything we filmed last week with doubles, because we filmed 2 episodes last week. What comes out today?
What comes out today? No idea.
Is it the Bosnia thing that I talk about?
Bosnia, yes. Bosnia comes out today.
Yeah, so Bosnia comes out today. Next week is a precursor to Penhurst, the 31st.
And then the 7th is...
The 7th is the guest stars.
Yep.
And then the 14th, which is today, is me talking about Superstition Springs Mountains. But today's the day of my birthday party, and I hope it goes really well.
Thanks, self.
And I hope that I had a really fun 34th, and shout out to my husband. Actually, big fat since we're shouting out, since we're screaming, shout out to my fucking husband. Shout out to him being an amazing man that I love so much. always so supportive, always so kind, always pushing me for my dreams. Shout out to my husband. And if you have a good partner out there, you got a good husband, good wife, and you're not married to a ghost, listen to last week's episode for that. Fucking take care of them. And with that said, we are going to get into the mysteries behind the Superstition Springs Mountains that are located here in Apache Junction / East Mesa / not slashed. Sorry. East Mesa here in Arizona. Fun fact, if I stand outside of my door, I can see them.
Oh, very cool.
I live about like 25 minutes away from the base. It's kind of nice. It's a good, there's a little like, there's an old cowboy town there and everything like that. Decent food. It's more bar-y. But before any of that, Chrissy, do you know anything about the Superstition Springs Mountains?
No, I don't actually.
Oh my God, that's crazy. I'm going to literally give you some history.
Oh,
that's so crazy. Okay. So, formed through heavy volcanic activity is how the mountains came to be. It's reported that the area was covered in volcanoes just briefly about 25 million years ago.
Just brief.
I think they took the first selfie back then. I don't know.
Okay.
There are also reported deposits of gold. And that comes into play. Remember that. AU. Remember the gold. Ha, get it? That's a chemistry joke because AU. AU is the nomenclatural letters of gold. I'm fucking tired. So don't mind me. There are many different types of flowers that grow in like the wilderness and different types of cacti. Didn't realize we had different types of cacti because the only ones I knew of are the sharp ones that fucking poke you and shit.
What
and
you don't want to fall into.
Well, no. I mean, I know there's like, we have like cactus flower jelly here, and it's the greatest thing.
Yeah.
Oh my God, it's so good on toast.
This is gonna be a fun episode.
This is gonna be a fun one. So it's reported that there is seismic activities in the walls of the canyons and the mountains that also resemble the sound of rolling thunder. And if I'm not mistaken, isn't there like, oh no, the festival is called Rolling Loud. I'm so sorry. And I was like, oh, maybe that's how the festival got its name. So also the visitor center, in case anyone is curious, is open Monday through Friday. And that's the history. It's a really quick one. Also, if you guys wanted to know something fun about Arizona as well that I learned because of the formation of the Grand Canyon, did you know that water is a natural agent of erosion? I will say this though, living about 25 minutes away, like visually, it's such a beautiful place. It's so stunning. Sometimes it even gets snow over there because it does start to get colder as you head into that area.
Right.
Visually stunning. Do you have a lot of mountain ranges where you're at?
Do you?
Okay, cool.
Okay.
She looked at me like, you dumb bitch, I live in the tropics.
Literally. Swamp ass.
Girl.
That's where I live, swamp ass.
Not my swamp ass. So the next part that we're going to get into is the discussion of the Native American tribes that are associated within the mystery and the history of the Superstition Springs Mountains. I want to be very clear when I say this for Chrissy and I. In no way are we intentionally mispronouncing any names, misjudging any history. This is straight from multiple different sources on the internet. So if we are saying a tribe name incorrectly or missing details of history, we're sourcing this episode from information we found through quite a bit of research. So please forgive us ahead of time. It is reported that the Superstition Springs Mountains were once inhabited by the Akimel, O'odham, and White Mountain Apache tribes. Now, later on, the Pima tribe and other Apache tribes in the area, with some being Yavapai, also came to the Superstition Springs Mountains. The land then became a stronghold for the Apache tribes, starting in the good little history lesson. I promise this episode gets way more exciting. Like, we talk about death and stuff, but like...
So, like, is there a lot of lore and stuff as to why it ended up being called?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah? Oh, nice.
We get into that. Before we get into that, just want to make sure everyone takes a look at the show notes.
Merch, guys.
Clicks the link, buys some merch, Send us $1 or $2 or $500 for coffee, whatever you want. We are open.
We are open to travel. 500's
Absolutely. 500's fantastic. We can. Do you know how much money that is for groceries? You can get 2 loaves of bread.
Nino and I are trying to make it to New Orleans to see each other.
Yes, we are. Please help us get to New Orleans to see each other.
Right.
And also be sure to give us 5 stars and follow and subscribe wherever you're able to and however you're able to, wherever you're listening to this podcast. Moving on. So there is a reason that there's a really heavy lore. And when I was reading into this, I was like, oh, this is great. And my immediate thought was, I'm 25 minutes away. I can go find it. And then I kept reading. And then I was like, ooh, no, I don't. No, I don't.
No, you don't.
So there is something called, allegedly, it's called the lower world.
Oh. Okay.
So you asked, like, why are we bringing up so many Native American tribes? I got you, babe. Well, it is reported that there was a belief from certain tribes that the Superstition Springs Mountains had a hole that led directly to the underworld, or quite literally hell.
Oh. Okay.
And maybe that explains why Arizona's so hot.
Opened up the hole.
I mean, if we could just plug her up. Yeah.
Plug it up.
So it is reported that winds from this open hole are the causes of certain storms here in Arizona.
Okay.
I'll touch base on this in a second, but people have searched for a lost treasure in these mountains, supposedly stumbled upon this hole, went to hell, and died. Could you imagine going into what you think is a cave, plot twist, Lucifer's like driveway?
Like, okay.
As many as like 600 people.
And this was during the gold rush time, you're saying? Or just overall?
There was recent deaths. And when I say recent, I mean like 2010.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so the whole thing about it is there's obviously Arizona is a state that's rich in copper, but certain parts of Arizona are rich with gold. And like we're talking like true.
Yeah. The like shit that people killed each other for.
Yeah, the shit that people still kill each other for. This well, I made the joke already, but it makes sense as to why Arizona is hotter than the Devil's Taint, because I'm pretty sure that the hole at the Superstition Springs Mountain is in fact the Devil's Taint. No sexual pun intended, of course. I'm also God-fearing, so that's the biggest like piece of lore so far. The tie-in for everything is obviously the tribes were there first, in as much of America as well, but very specifically the knowing that there's this gold there. And also if you're like an adventure seeker of some kind and you like climbing shit, the Superstition Springs Mountain are like a great fucking place. You're gonna be like, oh fuck, I can clear that in a day, and you can. Like you cannot, but I just like there's something about people who are like, I want to go mountain climbing, and I'm like, I want to do the same thing in a controlled environment with a harness. This,
it ain't it.
This for me, I'm busy that day.
That's right.
I'm busy that day. I don't know about y'all, but I know about me. I've only ever seen people hike the surrounding area, because you actually have to pay like a lot of money to enter the site.
Oh wow.
And even if you wanted to take like I've seen people take wedding pictures and all like graduation photos, and they can't, like, if they don't pay for the view of the mountain even beyond the base of the mountain, they can't do it. So there's like, obviously there's this whole money thing involved, and I'm like, maybe it's extended from like the gold thing, from like the devil and hell and all of that.
Right.
Prior to me talking about the Superstition Springs Mountains, have you ever heard of them?
No.
And also, why are they called Superstition Springs?
That's what I was going to ask you.
Like superstition because of the hole to hell?
I mean, is it that?
Springs because you think it's a geyser? honest question. I'm asking genuine questions.
Yeah, I'm actually like I want to know where they got their name from, because someone had to go, well, let's just call it this. Like, is it because like someone threw salt over their shoulders or forgot to or something? And like it's just
it's a little it's
weird.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
and again, this also all goes back to what I've researched about the Native American tribes and what their belief is.
mm-hmm.
The fact that even in conversation that people believe, oh yeah, Arizona has a hole to hell.
That's wild.
That's, to me, no, I'm good. I'm actually busy that day. That's crazy. That's super crazy.
That's insane.
That's insane, right? Like sounding like Megan. So I want to definitely take a moment to get into some things about the Lost Dutchman gold mine and some present day things that have also kind of been reported. Again, the most recent event that we've heard of here in Arizona happened in 2010 or 2011. I will get into that with Chrissy in just a second, but before that, we are going to take a quick break and you are going to listen to a quick word from you, Ron.
That's right.
And cool. We are bibbity boppity back.
Hey. Check out the latest episode of Dewey Pod Monster. This podcast is about consumption. They cover all kinds of subjects that can be consumed, like beer, movies, music, spirits, and more. With this podcast, nothing is off limits. You can find them on most streaming platforms, such as Spotify and Apple. They are members of the You Run Podcast Network. We just gotta let ourselves know.
We just gotta let ourselves know. Okay, so before we get back into everything, thank you all so much for continuing to listen to Paranormal Misfits podcast.
Yes, we love you.
Make sure to go into the show notes. Feel free to give us 5 stars, subscribe, follow, buy us a coffee, buy some merch. We really are trying to go to New Orleans next year and meet up and do all the spooky haunted shit. So your help is greatly appreciated. And by no means am I telling you how to spend your money. I know it's tough out there for everyone. So if you can give, great. If not, feel free to hit follow.
That's
or
right.
subscribe. Okay, so this is what I had the most fun researching. And this story goes back to the 1800s.
Okay.
Around the exact same time that the Apache tribe started becoming a stronghold for the Superstition Springs Mountain. This is a quick little tale of the Lost Dutchman gold mine.
Okay.
Absolutely. We have literally roads on that side of town that are like Lost Dutchman Wash, Lost Dutchman Way. And I'm like, I feel like you guys are trying to tell us something. I
feel like he's not really lost then.
I feel like you guys have found him. And it's all in the same area. I feel like you guys have found him. I feel like you guys have allocated his body. That's
you made it. Look at this.
You guys. So a German immigrant named Jacob Waltz discovered a huge pile of gold in the wilderness of the Superstition Springs Mountains. Put it back, it's not yours, and the story would be over. This isn't that story.
No, it never is.
It's never that story. So we're talking like big bucks, no whammies, like piles of gold is how reporters described it, and is how the story was told. Again, when I say story, I mean lore.
Yeah.
We don't know how big it is. I mean, to him, because it could have been like the size of a chicken nugget, and he's like, oh, I'm going to be rich. We don't know.
Accurate. Okay.
So, rumor has it that the gold has ties to the Apache tribe, and Jacob was getting close to obtaining it, which then, in turn, had him killed or he died. There are different reports.
Huh.
So a German man came to Arizona, set on an expedition, and stumbled upon a little bit of gold, realized that he could find it, not knowing it doesn't belong to him, and then, plot twist, he died.
Dun, dun, dun.
Love my summary. That was great. That was
fabulous.
That was the abridged version of what happened.
That was what are they called? The notes.
Oh, like the cliff notes?
Yes.
Those are green little cliffy notes, weren't they?
They were. They're fabulous.
I don't understand how like someone could go into an area that they would think that they're the only people there.
I mean, that was basically how America was founded.
And with that, the story continues.
Moving past what she said. No.
Okay. So again, this happened in 1891. Mind you, there have been at least by the date of this, because the Apache became a stronghold for the Superstition Springs Mountains in the 1800s. It's hard to determine which date, but I would say there was probably at least 2 generations of stronghold Apache tribe members there.
Okay.
Which means their population probably would have at least increased in some capacity, making them a bit more widespread to protect what's theirs. And Jacob was like, you guys got gold.
Bitch.
And they said, no, we have death. And rightfully so. Okay. So a lot of gold mines in the Superstition Springs area are actually the ones claiming to be the real thing, but it's really difficult to say that because none of them were actually verified. So if you're a tourist and you go to the visitor center and they're like, where you found the actual gold mine from Jacob Waltz? Yeah, I just got to pay an extra $50. Don't fucking do it. None of them have been actually verified because also, back to the superstition, who is to say that if you go into this gold mine, you're not immediately entering the hole to hell?
Then that's straight facts. On top of that, like, why can't we leave things alone?
And I know, listen, I love going down a good shaft, but that is just...
It's just too much right there.
Back to hell? No.
No, thank you.
I fear Jesus. So, okay, this, the gold mine debacle is actually what prompted hikers and gold hunters alike to go and seek out treasure, which ultimately led to their death too. So since Jacob died, and he did some really fucked up shit, he basically on his deathbed said where the gold was. That story was replicated, written down, passed down, and then people started going to go find it, and then they died. And it's not probably just because of like the whole to hell superstition. Really fucking quick, nature can be dangerous if you don't know where the hell you are.
Well, I was gonna say, so like, let's use the movie The Descent.
Let's use the movie As Above, So Below.
Yeah.
Anything.
Like, cave, I know for a fact most of the cave systems here in the United States are not all, they haven't been discovered.
Uncovered. Yeah.
Like, so
we're talking millions.
Yeah. I mean, 600 reported deaths makes sense. So people go in, they don't come out. It's because they don't know where the fuck they are.
Yeah.
And you're probably not properly, like, you have to have, like, oxygen and stuff.
And
oxygen
you're not
tanks and
equipped.
stuff.
And exactly. And you
like,
also don't know the temperature.
People think they can wander in. Yeah. You don't know, like, because it gets darker. Like, you don't know where you're gonna go. Like, everything looks the fucking same.
That's very that. And I think, like, people tied into the lore back in those days of, like, oh my God, they went in, they found the hole to hell, and they met Lucifer, and they died.
Like, what the fuck?
Or, since we don't know that, Bethany,
Josiah.
All right, Nathaniel, since we don't know that, maybe they just wandered in.
Found a bear.
Found a fucking bear.
Found a rattlesnake.
Or my favorite thing in Arizona that should never exist anywhere in this entire planet, scorpions.
Oh,
and they are like rampant in the area that I live in. Like, I live in obviously Arizona, and then we have like a metropolis area,
right?
Like an urban area, obviously, but I live in the literal desert. We have a couple of freeways, some houses, and a freaking Target, but it's still the desert.
Yeah. Like,
scorpions are everywhere.
I think people like to immediately like tie it back to something they don't understand and be like, biblical.
Yeah, it has. Not everything has to be like
a demon
or this spirit. Sometimes you're dumb.
That common
and you
sense.
Stumble upon a rattlesnake or a diamondback, or
the motherlode of
diamondbacks
scorpions.
are poisonous, but still.
What are
I don't think diamondbacks are scorpions. I don't know. It's poisonous. That's what I'm trying to say. Diamondback snakes are not scorpions. I know that. That's a fact. But one thing I wanted to also touch on is some of the most recent news that we heard. So again, going back to what I had said, since 1891, Jacob on his deathbed said, "This is where the gold is," but he said it's in a gold mine. Do you know how general that statement is? Okay,
Absolutely.
Cool. That's what prompted everyone else to think that they were fucking like adventure seekers and Dora the Explorer and Bear Grylls. So 600 people died since 1891. There was a recent death. And by recent, I mean like 2010 or 2011. And I think like they kind of like have like more of a security thing on it now. So let's see. 3 hikers went in. I purposefully redacted their names, and not good. In a rude way, just
in respect.
In respect. 3 hikers went in to the Superstition Springs Mountains, the wilderness of it, and never came out. What people fail to realize is when you're walking through the Superstition Springs Mountains, it's not just desert and mountains. We have a genuine desert wilderness around it.
Yeah, y'all have
poisonous, deadly things.
Yeah, mountain. There should be mountain lions and shit, right?
Oh, of course. Okay. Hyenas, like boars, like we have all of that shit here. A year later, from that 2010 incident, the body of what was believed to be one of the hikers was discovered.
Do they not know if they discovered the hiker?
I think it wasn't reported how it was found.
Oh, okay.
But the bones looked fresh.
Got it. Okay. All right. I see it now. Okay.
Wow. I was like, okay.
All right.
And it was, I think it was reported to be found in the wilderness. So I don't think, again, not feeding into the lore of things, but just think about it. Like if you're going into some place, you don't know what the fuck it's like. It's going to kill you. You're not careful. You're not demure. You're not mindful.
I can't. I don't.
Do you see how I avoid going into places to find gold and on land that isn't mined? Very demure.
That's right.
Very considerate, very thoughtful.
Oh my God.
Yeah, people be doing some dumb shit. I'm like, okay,
and they're probably like not even like skilled hikers or anything.
No,
they're just like, hey,
this is why we fucking have
out.
Trails for a fucking reason. We have experts who go in and set a trail because it's the safest possible fucking path.
Yep.
And then people are like, no, I'm gonna go off trail, die. And again, this isn't feeding into the lore. Again, I don't know if spirits did anything, but where I've researched like where they were,
right,
and where the supposed hole to hell is, they weren't even close. But that's only one body. That's insane. So I don't know about the other 2 or the other 602. That's funny that I said 602 because that's an area code here in Arizona.
There you go.
So moving into present day.
Okay.
It is reported that the Lost Dutchman gold mine has never been found. Makes fucking sense because how many gold mines do we have in Arizona?
Well, it's not only that. I'm sure it doesn't have like a sign.
Yeah, it's not going to be like, hey guys, lots of fucking gold right here. Lots of gold, just all the gold. AU, come get this gold. That's I get it. I get it. Some mention, this is what kind of like, this is kind of sweet.
Okay.
Some people mention that the tranquility and the peace from the mountains is the only gold there is.
Oh,
and I will say
like
this.
That.
Now, that's very thoughtful, very demure, very mindful, very quiet. I will say this, though, like for the amount of times that I visited like the base of the mountain, it is extraordinarily quiet.
Huh.
Yeah. And not in like a eerie way. It's just very like you get to listen to nature's soundtrack.
Okay.
Versus like the sounds of like cars like honking and people yelling and shit.
Right.
So it is very tranquil. That I will give it. Do I still think that there are gold deposits? Absolutely. Do I think there's a hole to hell in Arizona? Have you seen our fucking temperature?
I mean,
like last summer, it being for all of July and the first 15 days of August for the highest of the degrees of the day were over 110 for 30 something for 40 something days.
Absolutely not.
So I think this is just like a me thing. I think that the gold is near the supposed hole to hell.
Yeah.
Think about it. Like in order for you to find it, you probably got to go through hell.
That's true.
What do you think?
I could see that. I mean, the only Jesus. The main thing that frustrates me is one like everyone's claiming, oh, this is the Lost
Oh yeah, this
Dutchman.
is the
This is the
actual Lost
Lost
Dutchman
Dutchman.
gold
Like,
mine. Yeah,
bitch, I'm the Lost Dutchman. What the fuck?
my mom is the Lost. I mean, my mom could get lost.
But, you know, like 600 deaths is a lot of stupidity. Like, you're going into something you're not even well equipped for. That's honestly what it sounds like.
And for 130 something years, no one was like, let's stop this.
Yeah. No, let's go get some, you know, true professionals and see if we can't figure out how
Let's
to
call
map this
Warrior
shit.
Paranormal and
Cross the line paranormal. Hey guys.
Paranormal.
Well, no, because I don't know. It's so and then, you know, to say that he was telling people on his deathbed, but then also the other lore saying that he was murdered, so you got to make up your mind. Which one is it?
Yeah, there's two different stories going on about Jacob's death, but apparently the obviously the big lore is that like people listened to him while he was being murdered and wrote it down, and I'm like, how the fuck in pictures?
To someone who?
How did you write it down in Helvetica? No pun intended.
I mean, like, so you're gonna listen to him being murdered? It's like, how
People
loud
are
was
weird.
he?
The gold can be found at the latitude, longitude coordinates of... Like, is that what it was?
Is that... I
probably shouldn't be making fun of this place considering it's literally right outside my fucking door.
I still want to know why it's called Superstition Mountains, though.
Superstition Springs
Mountains. But still, like, that part's bugging me.
I need context. Yeah, I need context.
I need a lot. So
there's that.
I like that. I mean, your state's really interesting because of like the gold rush.
Yeah. Like, and obviously like the tribal ties that we have.
You're so close to Mexico that you have a lot of indigenous, like a mixture of indigenous.
Yeah.
And then I think it's always interesting when the Caucasian immigrants do dumb shit.
Speaking of things that you can migrate to our show notes. Find yourself a nice shirt. Feel free to hit follow, subscribe, give us a 5-star rating wherever you're listening to this and wherever you're capable of doing a subscription or like hitting the subscribe button, a like, a follow. Buying our merch helps us because we are trying to raise money to go to New Orleans next year. You can buy us a coffee, maybe a couple of other trips. We are going to start looking for sponsors for season 2 coming in February.
Yeah.
But till then, feel free to support us any way you know how. I'm going to get into this little wrap up because I do want to say a couple of things about the place. First and foremost, the mountains really are such a sight to see. Like they are a place where tourists go, where people go. It's just gorgeous. Like how it's laid out is stunning. But what people fail to realize is that the Superstition Springs Mountains are vast. Massive. It's not one eensy weensy little mountain. It's an arrangement of mountains. Okay. There is an old cowboy town that's been reconstructed there, and they have people kind of clear and go to like audience areas, and then they reenact things. So Arizona's big on like the cowboy culture, you know. Surprised that Brokeback Mountain wasn't filmed here. God. Anyway, so people love to get married in this little town. People also love to get married. I think there's a venue near Superstition Springs Mountain. It just looks fucking amazing in photos. It looks amazing in person. Wouldn't go there now because it's boiling hot. Also, maybe they didn't plug the hole to hell all the way.
No, I don't think so. Doesn't sound like it if it's that hot.
Fucking hot as balls. Or the taint. Whatever you want. Whichever you want. People love to get married there in the background. I'll be the first one to say I would be an idiot to think there is not gold there because Arizona is rich in gold, copper. We're very there are multiple vortexes here in Sedona. We have plenty of energy pools. There's something about Arizona that has so much spirit, not like ghostly things, but I think it was the 48th state to be inaugurated into the United States. And like, I think so. I'm pretty sure in like
Okay.
1912 or 1902. Arizona's been a state for like a little over 100 years. And what's funny, get this. So Lost Dutchman boy dies 1891. Arizona becomes a state 20 years later.
Oh, interesting.
Maybe 30. I think Arizona became a state in 1912.
We are
Right.
slowly looking it up.
Right? Maybe. But just the ties to that. So like they didn't, I don't know what they knew, what they didn't know.
Mm-hmm.
If you are someone who's listening to our podcast, first and foremost, thank you.
Yep.
If you're an active member of society, meaning you like to do physical things, please, should you decide to come to Superstition Springs Mountains here in Arizona, please know what the fuck you're doing. I don't want to open up the news articles and see another statistic.
No, and you're right. It's
48.
No.
Well, that's why there's restaurants that say like state 48.
Got it. Okay. Yeah. No, that's the same thing for when people decide to come to Florida and want to go fuck with the alligators and shit. Like, guys,
How about
nature is nature.
Nature was here before you, and it'll be here after you.
And it will eat you.
Then, you know, why are you going to jump on an alligator? Just tell it you're going to see it later, all right?
Yeah, that's it. And, you know, Florida's got their crocodiles, too.
And you'll see those every once in a while. I finally figured out the difference between an alligator and a crocodile.
It's their snout.
And then also the similarities that they have is that I'm still going to run away from both of them.
Absolutely. And just to let you know, they used to tell us how to run away from alligators in elementary school.
Isn't it a zigzag?
It's supposed to be, but that doesn't actually do anything. The zigzag is actually just a dumb.
Well, how are you supposed to run away?
Run.
Oh, sprint. Okay, cool. She means Olympically become Sha'Carri Richardson and
accurate.
Leave.
Yeah.
Got it.
Or, don't put yourself in the situation to begin with.
Hey, would you look at that? Would you look at her?
Look at that common sense.
Not so common in 2024.
That's a big comment in a while.
Bury that. So, any last commentaries before I take us home?
No, but we are coming up on our season end.
I
do want to say I've gotten into this little, I don't know, fascination or something with horror movies that involve influencers. So
Stream.
Yes. So Stream's coming out, but I you know me. There's 2 horror comedies that I really love.
Okay.
Dutchman is one. And that's
great.
an influencer going into a haunted location. I just watched one last night called Chad Gets the Axe. Hashtag Chad Gets the Axe. It's a bunch of, I don't know, influencers, YouTube.
Is it on Shudder?
Yes.
Great.
Yes, it's on there. There was one more I watched.
Your login.
The other one I watched. I wrote it down so I could tell you about it. Mean Spirited was another one.
Spirited
is like this. Once again, it's that a failed influencer tries to, gain his following back or whatever, and that one was interesting.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So, we'll take a look at those. I still don't know if Stream is out in theaters still. It literally came out.
Oh, it was limited, wasn't it?
It's a limited release. It's like a week or 2.
Yeah.
But I hope future self Nino has seen it, and also go see Strange Darling. That is getting really, really good reviews.
I'm gonna rent Longlegs on.
Do it.
I'm gonna rent Longlegs.
Let me in now, and it can be nice. We get to like the tail end of episode 2 on Doubles Day, and it's like, ugh.
You watch our psyche just completely.
Seriously, just fucking. We used a lot of energy with Warrior Paranormal and Cross the Line Paranormal, but in a good way.
Yes.
So if you're planning on coming to Arizona and you are an avid hiker or thrill seeker or an adventurer, please be mindful, careful, thoughtful, considerate, and demure when entering Superstition Springs Mountains. There's the lore behind the hole to hell. You're not going to find the Lost Dutchman gold mine. No one fucking knows where it is. And also, if people knew where it is, they wouldn't tell you. Please do not become a part of the 603 people or over 603 people who have died. That's 603 people over the course of what, 100 and something years? What's 1891? Hold on, I'm going to do the math. Just so we kind of have like a little bit of a statistic. So we take 2024 minus 1891. All right, 133 years, around 5 people die a year.
That's insane.
That's a big
just
number.
Just in that area. Yeah, just in that
but the
area.
Thing is, if one person died, wouldn't you think like, oh, I'm not going to do it because someone died? No, and then 5 fucking people average a death a year. Stop. Because y'all didn't learn the first 15 times?
People go, well, I can do it.
Death.
Exactly. So, yeah.
Well, as we wrap up today, you know what's not superstitious? Clicking the link in the show notes, giving us a 5-star review, a like, a follow, and a subscribe wherever you're able to. Thank you for listening to Paranormal Misfits podcast on whichever platform you're listening to it to. Big shout out to Gabriel and the Indigenous podcast.
Indigenous Tales podcast.
Indigenous Tales podcast. I forgot the tail end.
They just started a new podcast. They're on their second podcast, Tap on Terror, I think is what it's called. They'll care. I believe it's true crime.
I'd like to tap that. All right. Speaking of tapping things, shout out to my husband. Shout out to you, McLeod. I love you so much, babe. Feel free to buy some merchandise that helps us out. Feel free to buy us a coffee in any amount. $1, $3, $410,652.83. Like whatever you want, it's there for you.
Sounds like a student loan.
I don't know, just funding the rest of my life. I don't know. We are trying to go to New Orleans in 2025, and any which way you can help us would be greatly appreciated.
Hell yeah.
With that said, once again, we are the Paranormal Misfits podcast, a part of the Yorn Podcast Network. My name is Nino Daniel.
My name is Chrissy.
And we know you don't have to leave. Well, we know you have to leave. You actually physically fucking have to go.
Yes.
But we know you don't want to. So if you are going to leave, you might as well creep out.
Bye. There we go.